Hey everybody, as y'all know, I like to jump right into my videos. We have my Zinger Heavy Duty. I have the model 4411. No, the model number does not matter. Get the cheapest model number of the Zinger Heavy Duty that you can find, because the differences between the models is the amount of stitches you get, and we only use 2 and they come on all of them. So with that being said, we're going to get into our settings. We're going to have our settings between a 3 and a 4 for the length, a 5 and a 6 for the width. We're going to have our needle position in the middle and our tension at a 5. If you can see that little arrow going to the 4, that kind of gives you an indication on where you should be at. I'm going to try to focus this frame so you could go ahead and screenshot. So here, I'm going to put the link in description how to do these guidelines. This is a 5x5 closure, and it's also going to show you how to hot comb, a good way to hot comb all the hair in the center, because we're going to be sewing our closure on with the machine. Yes, that's with the machine. We will not be hand sewing this first, and we're going to be sewing it on last. So if you know how to do guidelines, you may not have to watch that video, but I will have it available for you guys to be able to watch it along with this tutorial. Now this is a 5x5 closure on a mesh dome cap. As you can see, I threaded my needle, and I'm going to hold the thread while I sew to make sure it doesn't come out the thread, because we all know it can get very frustrating having to rethread that over and over again. So I tell my students to get the track on the cap first before you start lining up with your guidelines, because as you know, it can get real frustrating that hair comes out or off the cap. So once you do that, you pretty much go on the guide that you've already created. Now, I will say all bundles are not the same, so you have to kind of know what you're working with, because most of the time, especially with longer lengths and there are only 3 bundles, I will single weft the first 3 to 4 lines, and then double the rest. As you can see here, I'm back stitching, and then I'm going to go in and cut, and then I'm going to go to the end, just so I can assure that I got to the end of the line. But back to the bundles. Please pay attention to, how many bundles is being used, whether it's 3 or 4, whether it's 5 or 7, whatever. You have to pay attention to that to know whether you're going to be doubling the whole thing. If you got a quadruple, triple, all those things play a part in this. So my golden rule with getting the track and the cap underneath the presser footer is to pinch an inch. Pinch an inch away from your guideline and your track to be able to hold the hair and slide it under the presser footer. Always remember to have your needle up and make sure your presser footer is down while you're sewing. A lot of times you get bunching and jamming because you forget to put the presser footer down. So remember to never stretch your cap. When I say never stretch your cap, do not be pulling the opposite way of your sewing machine, and make sure your hands are always moving. I have that issue with a lot of my students. They want to keep their hands still, and that's causing stretching. And it may seem like it's not stretching, but imagine you're keeping your hand, you're holding something while it's being pulled. That automatically makes it stretch. Even though you're not physically stretching it, it's being stretched because the machine is going the opposite way of where you are. That was a mouthful. I do apologize if I'm rambling a little bit. I'm just trying to keep up with the video, what's going on. I didn't speed up anything. I actually want everything to play so you can watch it a couple times, just in case you missed something or you need to go back, whatever you need to do to catch the concept. I know this is something very new to people. It will take a couple of tries. Do not give up. Practice makes perfect. I went to a one-on-one class before I started watching online tutorials and things like that. So one-on-ones are different than online tutorials, because you have somebody there to correct you when you're doing something wrong. As you can see, those lines are looking good. We got our zigzag stitch. If you want to, you can cut the extra thread off. I can't talk, sorry. Before or after you finish your week. So if you want to go line by line and cut those extra thread off, you can, but you can wait till the end as well. So we're just going to repeat the same thing. Again, like I said, you're going to do this for 2 to 3, even 4 lines, just depending on the length. I don't remember the length of the hair I'm using, unfortunately. But like if you were doing shorter, like anything under 16, then you probably wouldn't have to single the wefts. But again, that really has to do with the type of hair and how it is wefted. And if you have to move your cap in different directions, as in turn it inside out, anything to be able to make it easier to be under the needle, go ahead and do that. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't have to be completely flat. Throughout the video, you'll see me flip it inside out, hold it different ways. Like, do what you need to do to make it comfortable for you and to ensure that you're not stretching your cap, which in turn will change the size of your wig. I'm gonna try to post some standard measurements for ready to ship wigs, and that would be a wig that you make beforehand without taking custom measurements. It's like a small, medium, large, usually small being a 21, medium being a 22, a large being a 23. Now here, we're going to be doubling our wefts as we sew. Now what you see me doing is putting the two wefts together so I can attach them to the cap. And so I'm just lining my ends up to be able to sew. I'm going to do the pinch and inch same way, just with the double wefting, and then make sure everything is aligned. I tell my clients, my students, just to make sure, look, get it on the cap first. If you haven't, because it's something new to you, it's going to be a little harder. So just get it on the cap and then line it up. As far as the back stitching goes, I know some people do 3 or 4. Me personally, I only do that once back and then go forward. There's no right or wrong way about the amount of times that you back stitch on your ends. You just want to make sure that doesn't come up, so it can, have longevity with your client, that weft is not coming off. And as you can see, I'm doing the same exact thing as I would with a single, but I'm just making sure, I always say, make sure both the wefts are in the legs of the presser footer, and that's how you can assure that it's going smoothly. As you can see, this bundle is ending right at the end of my 4th line, so it worked out perfectly. And if you're not ready for this, that's okay. There's a video I have to show you how to double your wefts prior to putting it on the cap. So either way is fine. It's just once you start to get your speed up and you start to get comfortable, you start to get your little hacks and shortcuts, and this is one of them, to be able to double the weft while you sew, opposed to doubling it before. It shouldn't take you long to double your weft, even if you do it before, once you get the hang of things with your machine. Now for me, when I when I sew my closure on with the machine, I sew up until the last, I guess the second to the last line. So I should have one line left before I put on my closure. And that's where I'm going to stop. I'm going to put my closure in a ponytail if I haven't done already, just to hold those hairs out the way. Like, it makes it so much easier when the hairs is all going towards the center, so nothing is getting caught, nothing getting snagged. It happens. I fix it. I use my nails. If you need to, you can use the end of a rat tail comb to kind of get in there and move stuff around if need be. But again, if you have to watch the landmark is the guideline video to see the landmarkings that I'm talking about when it comes to sewing on the closures. I'm going to line up my corners or where I put my little dots, that's how I'm going to line up to know where to start, where that I'm at a corner, in the center, and all the way at the end. Now, there is a ton of ways to sew your closure on with the sewing machine. This is just one of them. I've seen at least 3 other ways. This is what works for me. I've seen people actually cut, go all the way to the top. I've seen people cut the cap and sew the weft all the way to the top and then sew the closure. For me, I just follow the guidelines. Again, I have my land markings in several different spots on the closure as well as on my cap to let me know, okay, I should be here at this point, here at that point. And if I'm not there or if I'm over, that means I did something wrong. I need to cut it, opposed to finding out at the end that it's uneven. So my land markings is like, just like when you go, going to the store, you have land markings to be able to keep up with stuff. I know that was kind of crazy analogy, but that's what I use. I use the guidelines and the land markings on my closure. That's why it's very important that you watch the guideline video so you can see what those land markings are exactly. Here, I'm just trying to focus so you guys can see what's going on. But if you even look, you see my middle land marking in the middle of the closure. And so I'm going to do just like I would do a track. I'm going to line it up with the guidelines and use my land markings to make sure I'm on the right track. Several times you'll see me try to move the hair outside of the legs, because what happens is it get caught. You're going to see me move this cap plenty of times to make sure I'm not stretching it, to get it out the way, to ensure that it's flat. Like, you guys really have to figure out ways to move that cap without stretching, even if you have to turn it inside out. Find your way. Like, please do not give up. Try again until you get it. If this is something that you really want to do, please do not give up on it. Because at one point in time, I gave up on it and left it alone. And if I would have just kept trying, I would be so much further if I didn't give up. So I'm encouraging you, please don't give up. Just keep trying. If you got to take the wig apart and do it again, just keep trying. If you need to reset, do that. But I literally just follow the guidelines all the way to the end and then do a back stitch. And it's really important to try to get as much hair get that hair into the center as possible, because it makes it for us. Like, if you don't, it's going to take you a little longer than it is taking me. All these videos are in real time. I didn't speed up any of these videos, so you can see, my pace of what I do. Closures are easier for me than frontals. Let me know in the comment section if you like a frontal video, or even if you would like another method of sewing the closure on. As you can see, it's all stitched on really good. And all I'm going to do is go in with the rest of the tracks that I have and close up this wig. I usually do a double stitch on that, on that last line. And if I have enough hair left, I'll do a single stitch around the entire closure. It just depends on how much hair I have left, because there have been times where I do not have enough hair to really do that last little track that I would like to do, because I do ghost wig making. If you're interested, if you're a busy hairstylist, I understand. Hit me up. I do ghost wig making. There's a minimum of at least 10 wigs that need to be made. We could go over all the details once you contact me, which I will leave in the description box. I love it, so let's talk about it. But other than that, that is the wig. Like I said, you're going to close it up like you see me here. It does get a little tight in there. If you need to take off, I've seen some people take off the, I guess that's the stage of the sewing machine. It can slide out. I've sometimes seen people take that off to help be able to sew better. Do what you need to do. There's 7 ways to skin a cat, and just get it done. Like, the wig world is so lit right now. So don't be afraid to mess up. I feel like messing up is how you learn. Like, you see how, especially if you plan on wanting to teach, you can be able to say, hey, this is what you did wrong because I did it wrong. So I know what to do now differently. If you want a one-on-one, hit me up. Come to Chicago. I might start offering in Miami. We can do it. If you feel like you need more correction or you just can't grasp it, or a refresher, any of those things I do offer in person. I rather be able to help at a one-on-one. I actually like one-on-ones better because I can really see what you're doing wrong and be able to correct you. Via YouTube, I can't do that. I can only give you so many tips. And sometimes the verbiage can get off when you're asking me questions and I don't always understand, or vice versa. So one-on-ones are great. I don't think I would do a group class just because everybody moves at different paces, and I like to give that one-on-one attention to make sure you got it before you leave. So this is what it looks like after that last guideline is done, and I'm gonna go ahead and put a single track in between those lines. I wouldn't put the double, I mean, you can put a double there, but just to assure a little bit more flatness, I would do the last one be a single just so I don't have that little, I guess, quote unquote hump between the closure and your last track. So again, I'm just gonna go around and around until I get to my finish line.
Another woman that can take your spotlight. If I wrote you a symphony just to say how much you mean to me, what would you do? If I told you you were beautiful, would you date me on the regular? Tell me, would you? Well, baby, I've been around the world.
And this is our finished product as far as sewing that last track. Has a nice slimness look, so you can go ahead and part it off and do what you need to do without any gaps. So then we're gonna go ahead and flip it inside out. As you can see, those lines looking pretty good. And then we're gonna cut that excess cap from underneath the closure, because obviously we don't need that.
See, all I want you to do is be my love. So don't give away my love. So don't give away my love. So don't give away. And another woman that can take your spot, my love. So don't give away my love. So don't give away my love. So don't give away. And another woman that can take your spot, my love. That make you wanna change your scene and wanna be the one on my team. Tell me, would you see what's the point?
Now we're gonna grab our elastic band. I do wholesale these on my website. I will put a link in the description. This is my adjustable band. I do cut it sometimes depending on the cap. Not even depending. Most of the time I cut it just to give it a little more security, and then over time it's going to loosen at the end of the day, because you're going to wash it, dry it, all these different things, so it's going to loosen. So I make it possibly a little more tighter than need be, and then you're going to burn the edges to kind to amend the rubber that will be trying to unravel, so you don't have the jagged edge and the jagged cloth or whatever it's called. And I line it up with the closure. So you're going to see me parted off the closure from the tracks, and I'm going to put it on a line of that first track, not on the closure, because one, you may have to replace your closure, and you don't want to put too much tension on your closure, especially if you got like a HD lace that is very delicate or whatever like that. So I always just put it, and then I do a straight stitch too. So I don't know if you guys see me put the straight stitch on, but it's needed to do the straight stitch. I don't recommend do a zigzag stitch, and you're gonna go back and forth like 3 or 4 times with the straight stitch, and make sure that if you notice that I got the flat side in, because you don't want the side where the clasp is on your client's braids. You want that to be on the outside facing the wig itself.
Where'd you go? Oh, you know how I've been living without you. Daydreaming on a cloud with you like horizon. With you tonight is on an island. Yeah. It's about time I'm waking up. Times you wasn't with me waking up. Now you feel seductive and miss your touch. I needed to distance myself from you. Oh, just to know you want you. So come close, I want you. Can I tell you something for what it's worth? If you had this place on earth, take you there, take you. Show you something, give you more than words. If you had this place on earth, take you.
And now we have a completed wig with an elastic band. This was a size 22 that I used, which is like a standard size wig size, which would be considered a medium. And yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to say after that. It's done. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will try my best to answer them. If you have any suggestions on videos for closure wigs, I will try to get to them and do them for you. And this is what it looked like on my head. No glue. This is some nice lace for sure. A little lace tint, it would really blend into my skin. I didn't style this. This was one of my ghost wig making contracts, so I give it to them as is. And yeah, that's it, y'all. If y'all have any more questions, again, please do not hesitate to leave them in the comments section. Till next time, see you later, Slay Bays.